Today we have a special episode about a song that's always been a favorite of mine. One of the catchiest songs of the 80s, in my opinion. If you don't feel great after listening to it, you may need to seek serious therapy. Just kidding. But seriously, it's a quintessential 80s song with one of the best female rock voices shepherding it. Today we have the man who made it so catchy and so undeniable with us, an iconic guitarist and producer who pulled off some crazy acrobatics to achieve the percussion that's really the driving force of this song. He nearly moved space and time, having the kick drum suspended in air and made the drummer twist into a pretzel to get that perfect sound. He shares his story next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you ever attended the Barnum and Bailey Circus back in the day, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the bell so you know when our stuff comes out. Also, check out our podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your stuff. So it's time for another episode of our series, Revelations, where featured artists reveal rare stories about their greatest songs and their greatest albums. And today, we're going to talk to the guitarist and producer behind one of the catchiest songs of the 80s. Truly a feel-good song. In fact, it's so catchy, you'll forget your own name before you forget this one. Seriously. I mean, it should have a Surgeon General warning on it. It defines the 80s with one of the best rock voices behind it, and it actually became her biggest hit. Talking about the feel-good 1984 classic, We Belong by rock queen Pat Benatar. We have her husband and guitarist, producer extraordinaire, Neil Giraldo, to tell the story of crafting it. And I gotta tell you, he moved heaven and earth to do this, including suspending the kick drum in midair to get the main part of the song. The song became Pat's biggest hit, like I said, and actually got her a Grammy nomination. In fact, Pat Benatar set an all-time record, getting nominated for a Grammy for female rock vocal performance 6 years in a row, winning 4 out of 6 times. Let's get into the interview. In 1984, Pat won her 4th consecutive Grammy Award for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance. Record that still stands. Nobody's ever done it consecutively that many years. Incredible achievement there. I gotta ask you about We Belong, though. That's always been my favorite Pat track. It was number 3 on the rock charts, number 5 on the pop charts. Written by Eric Lowen and Dan Navarro. But demo versus producing it, because I love kind of the percussion on that, and the way that you chose to do the guitar, especially with the dun 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 dun, yeah, that part.
We did rewrite the words for that, some lyrics for that too, but they wrote a great song there. It was just a very acoustic-driven ballad, right? I heard a rhythm thing. I love the sequencing, Bob O'Reilly. I love, again, back to the Pete Townsend influence and the roots. I'll get to what you're talking about. It's very important that I mention this. This is really important. All the beats in the world, they've all been used before. The 12 notes, if you don't count microtones, are the 12 notes that exist all over the world. Everybody said nobody comes up with something totally creative that's never been done before. You use what pioneers use. If you listen to them, that's just how you make music. You write songs. Nobody is like this, or else you'll just be like this giant narcissist, because it's impossible. You're not this guy or girl that's gonna create something out of nothing. It's not gonna happen, right? I want to make myself clear with that, because that's the way I look at anything. If it's a different rhythm or something, so what? We're kind of mixing stuff up a little bit, make it sound a little different. We Belong. I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with it. That was one that I just, Jesus, what am I going to do with this thing? How can I make this thing work? So I had this super prime time. It was this Lexicon delay unit. And it had these little delay units on the left and little delay units on the right. So you had these little sliders. So you could change the tempos. So I had Charlie, our keyboard player, play a chord. I said, Charlie, just play one chord. Just go boom. And then I'll start doing something. So he did it as like, and I go, do it some more. And I go, okay. Let's follow that, and all the verse changes is real simple chords. You just played it, just hold it down. and I'll do the I'll do the rest to make the delay. So after creating that, that was the same thing as a Lindrum doing Battlefield. So that was going to be my pad instead of it being a drum beat. So now I think it's the first song I'm going to record for the Tropico record in 1984 or 5, right? So my drummer, Myron, phenomenal drummer, one of the greatest drummers of the world. He's like Mitch Mitchell, John Bonham, all those guys. A lot of swing in his playing. It's fantastic. He comes in, he's got a big kit, he's got the whole thing. He goes, man, I've been rocking, I've been playing so much, I can't wait to go. What are we going to do? I says, all right, Tyrone, this is the first song we're going to do. You see that back area in the studio? It's MCA Whitney. That's where they keep the pipe organ in these pipes. Well, they took the pipes out, so it's just a giant concrete building, right? A block of concrete. I says, I want you to go in there. We're going to suspend your kick drum, and I want you to hit it with a stick. And then I want your snare to be on a guitar case because you can't put it on the floor. And I don't want it on the stand because it'll be too much. I want it to be choked. And all I want you to do is just go boom, whack, boom, whack. And he goes, are you crazy? I go, no. I go, that's what I want you to do. He goes, not going to work. I go, Tyrone, it's going to work because I'll show you this, what I'm going to put inside that beat. He goes, well, I think it's stupid. So, but he did. But that's all he did was boom, back. So I just, okay, we're going to go into the last chorus. It's a breakdown. You play some toms. That was just the only fill, the only drum part on the record, right? Because if you take the and you have it's same as a drum beat, right? Once again, it's the same thing. So, and then, you talk about the whip. I used it, but I used it from a Jupiter 8. It's a key that would make a whip. So that's with a sabat, boom, sabat. So once I created that pad down there, it was easy. And then again, I just wanted the guitars to jang, and I thought about Pete Townsend and the jing jing, like Pinball Wizard. I just want to strum around like that. And then we just started building that. And Charlie played some keyboard little things on it. It was kind of cool.
Always I'm surprised how well you cut my feelings.
There was not a song that sounded like that on pop radio in the 80s. Just like, I always wonder where the chung, 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 the whole percussion of that, because it's one of the catchiest songs ever. I honestly, my wife, that's my wife's favorite song, one of her favorite songs.
You should hear Pete. Pete was interviewed. Peter Coleman was interviewed. And he's great. That footage is probably going to be put in a documentary at some point because it's so great. He's great because he's constantly saying, what is he going to do next? What is he doing? And he's always so confused, like, what is this? But he was such a great guy, never gotten away, nothing. It was just beautiful, right? So, that was, it was.
And the dynamics of Pat's vocal too was so great because the verse is, subtle. Then she gets into that chorus and it's just like ecstasy. I mean, that really is Pop 101, how to put together a catchy single that will stay in your mind forever. And you're glad it's in your mind. There are those songs that are earworms that you're like, oh, I got to listen to something. I got to get this out of my head. I hate this.
Right.
But this is one of those songs that's just joyful. You're glad it's stuck in your head.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you feel that way, Adam. Yeah. And, we put the choir at the end, the children's choir. We had them brought in, and, back then you couldn't overdub, right? You weren't allowed. You're allowed one take. And then I look at Pete and I go, Pete, we got to figure out how to double and triple layer this thing. What do we, I said, what do we have to say? Oh, he would call me piggish. Piggish? I don't think the mic worked. Let's record it again. So I'd have to say, I'm sorry, everybody. We had a mic that wasn't working, so we'd have to record it again because we couldn't tell them we were doing it overdubbed. I'll probably get in trouble for that. But not anymore. I don't think.
I have a show I do on my channel called Number One in Our Hearts, just about songs that absolutely should have been number one hits, and we've done an episode on that We Belong should have been. It's number one in our hearts. It should have been number one hit.
Yeah, thank you. That was a fun one. Like I said, that was one of the ones that we didn't write. That when I heard it, I got the idea. You know, I got the chorus. I got that it sounds like it could be a hit, but I couldn't. My job, I couldn't do what I thought I could do to make it work. I really did until I had that rhythm bass. That's why in the beginning of our conversation, I said it was about rhythm because everything I do is based around drums and rhythm. That's it's what I do. I like it.
Well, Invincible is, that's a song that a lot of people joked is from one of the worst movies ever.
The Legend of Billie Jean.
What a song.
That song hit really hard. That was a loud record. Like it was fun to record it because it was just loud, like a performance loud thing.
This bloody road remains a mystery.
Simon Climie and Holly Knight, and Holly said that when she first heard the vocal on that, the hair was standing on her straight end, on her neck. He just was like, wow.
I asked Simon if he would write the song with me, and we wrote it like that day, one day. And then I went back to the States, and Pat heard it. I thought, God, she'd be great for this. Pat is the kind of singer that no matter what I wrote for her, she could nail it. She did an incredible vocal on that. And I loved the video, too, if you've ever seen it. And I didn't know this, but she was actually 4 months pregnant when she was doing the video. She was wearing a very large coat, but she looked beautiful. She looked...
Yeah.
Yeah, so then it was in the movie, it came out, and it did really well on the radio and everything.
Yeah, it's number 10 on the Hot 100. It was really her last major hit. We will be. It's a jam.
Minor keys do really well, for Patricia. We do try to do a lot in minor keys because they seem to work really good. They're powerful, right?
I think it's one of the best rockers of its time. What was your approach on that song?
I wanted to do something different than that, truthfully. And I didn't produce that because Mike did.
Mike Chapman.
Mike did, yeah. I wanted to produce it. I had a totally different thing. I mean, it would have been okay too, but it was totally different. But I was happy with what it was. But it was more of like more of a performance kind of thing. Like we were playing live. It wasn't I didn't build it like the other ones. Battlefield and everything else. So it was a live thing, and it was. I had fun doing it. It was kind of cool. I was a little more like, I'll just play some guitar and I'll give you a couple ideas for this and I'll give you a couple ideas for this, but let's just kind of fly. Let's just fly on our own here. Let's just play it like we were playing it for the first time. And it's not tight to a click. It's loose and everything. It's good. It was great. It was a lot of fun to do it. It was easy. The playback was so loud because Mike always played back really loud. And we were up in, I can't remember the studio, Cherokee. And Cherokee had these studio monitors that were monsters. And they were like really close on you and just cranked them up. So it was all part of that experience. So
well, and it's name of the musical.
That's right. That's right. I'm not sure the musical's gonna keep that same name, but we'll see. I'm not sure about that yet.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because I heard so much, read so much about it, want to see it. And one of the great love stories of the rock era. And tell me about the musical and kind of the future of it, where it's been and where it's going.
Yeah, it started off. It started off like kind of a cool idea. Um, then I sort of heard it going one way. Like, in other words, I wanted to take all the songs and I wanted to make them sound completely different because I already did that already. Let's do something completely different. But then there were certain economics that didn't apply. In other words, I wanted to have, a heavy string section. Where it's like bowed bass, cello, viola, violin, not a lot of top sounding things, a lot of heavy drum percussion, low end, not a lot of guitar. One of the other instruments, just a strange orchestra build. But in order to do that, it would cost a lot of money to have a lot of players, so that economically wasn't going to work. We did a version like that. That it did okay. It wasn't great, but it did okay. And then now it's going to be more immersive and probably sound a little more rockin', maybe more like the records a little bit. So I'm going to step back and be a producer for that, and just let it kind of go and let other people kind of give their opinions and try to direct it the way they want to do it, and just be just be an executive producer basically. And that's a lot of that is more of Patricia's baby. That's her thing. She likes that. That's kind of her thing. And my job is now, with all the new music and the new things I'm doing, all that, my other wacky world, where that's going to take us and things beyond, So.
Well, and for the book, and when is the book coming out? Because I want to make sure that I mention that in the podcast.
September 9th. Yeah, we got a book tour. We're doing. I'll tell you, I've done much more work on the book than any record I think I've ever done. This is like, it's nuts, but it's great. I mean, again, all these people were doing these, talk shop live, and we're talking to different people about it, and it's nice. One really cool thing, and I'll end with this thing. What really cool thing about what happened with music in the world and the internet did is that we're all the same. There's not this eliteness, there's not this rock star where you have to behave a certain way because you're the so-called rock star. You know what? Be nice to people. It doesn't hurt to be nice. Be honest and be truthful. Best thing about the truth is it's the truth, right? And I love that you could just be yourself and be normal. It's just this happens to what you do for a living. It's what you do. This was what you were given through what God or universe got you here. So what you are. You're a great interviewer. You're great at this.
Thank you.
You're fantastic. Yeah. Of course, you're well researched. That I know that, but that's not what I'm talking about. You know when to talk, you know when to listen, and you're listening, and that's important.
Oh, isn't Neil great? He's just so much fun too. Great interview. Make sure to get Pat and Neil's new book, My Grandma and Grandpa Rock. You can get it right up here at the link or below. Thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment. What are your memories of this song? What do you think about Pat Benatar? One of the greatest ever. Just incredible. And Neil Giraldo's playing. And what other songs should we cover? Love to get Pat on here as well, Pat and Neil together. We'll see if that happens. But make sure to get that book and leave us a comment. Let's have a great celebration of Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo and their songs. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.